Look, Mom, I'm a pumpkin. Hi, welcome, come on in. My name is Aoife, and today, in honor of it being Halloween, I am taking the Halloween book tag. I filled this out on my own book blog about 5 or 6 years ago by this stage, but I don't remember where it actually came from. But let's do a little updated edition for my channel. First question is carving pumpkins. What book would you carve up and light on fire? There is no competition for this answer. The Friend Zone by Abby Jimenez. I went into this and I was expecting kind of like a nice love story between Kristen and Josh, and then it was completely ripped apart. Throughout the book, Kristen is suffering from infertility. She's kind of made her peace with the fact that she's not going to be a mother, and she falls for Josh, who basically wants an entire soccer team full of children. Over the course of the book, Kristen just kind of puts herself into the I'm not like other girls category so hard that I felt myself losing respect for her. I felt myself not wanting to read her story anymore. Then we get to the end of the book where Kristen and Josh have a baby first time without even considering anything else. For people who are genuinely suffering from infertility, from people who are genuinely struggling to have a child naturally, I think this book is such a kick in the teeth. I think this book is the exact opposite of what somebody who is going through that would want to read, especially if they had gone into this book thinking, oh, this is somebody who has the same condition as me. This is somebody with whom I can associate. This is somebody with whom I can sympathize. And then that's what they end up reading. Throw the book in the sea. Next up is Trick or Treat. Which character is a trick to read and which character is a treat? So I'm obviously going to start with the trick. And that is Kitty from How to Kill Men and Get Away With It by Katie Brandt. I hated reading her. There was nothing about her that really drew me into her character. She was really narcissistic, she was really self-centered, and it felt like things were just falling in place for her a little bit too often for it to be believable for me. As you can imagine from the title of this book, Kitty goes out on dates with a couple of guys that she's met on Tinder or guys that she's met in the pub and ends up murdering them. Sometimes accidentally, sometimes she kind of put a little thought into it, but none of them end up alive by the end of the night. And it always seems like just when you think she's about to get caught, just when you think something is about to happen for her actions to be discovered, something happens and the book goes in a different direction and you are brought in a different way, and it just was too unbelievable for me by the end. On the flip side, a character who is a treat for me to read is Aisling from the Oh My God, What a Complete Aisling series by Sarah Breen and Emer McLysaght. Aisling and I are pretty much the same person. We both grew up in rural Ireland, we both moved to Dublin for college and for jobs, and I just get so much comfort from reading her. Aisling and I are very much kindred spirits, and I love sitting back on my couch and discovering what she's up to. Aisling and I have also gone through a lot of life changes and a lot of big things in life around the same time as each other. So I feel like that little connection as well just makes her one of my favourite characters to read. The last book in this series, Aisling Ever After, has just come out at the end of August, start of September. And the reason that I haven't read it yet is because I'm just not ready to say goodbye. I'm not ready to give Aisling up yet. Next up is Candy Corn. What book is always sweet? And I am always going to say the To All the Boys I've Loved Before trilogy for this, but especially the first one. I feel like the first one is such a cozy little comfort read following Lara Jean, who discovers that 5 letters that she had written to 5 guys she had had a crush on during her life have actually been sent out. All of the guys have gotten them, and now she has to kind of clean up the mess that somebody else has caused. I really love the relationship between Lara Jean and Peter. I really love the relationship between Lara Jean and her sisters. There is so much mention of like Lara Jean being really cozy, lying on the couch, reading books, baking cookies. I absolutely love how cozy and how comforting this book is. This is a great book for teenagers, but I discovered it in my adult years and I actually genuinely loved it as much as I would have back then. So I think this is a book for anyone to sink their teeth into. Next up is Ghosts. What book character would you love to visit you as a ghost? And is this possibly cheating? Yes. Am I going to go for it anyway? Also yes. Stanley Tucci from Taste by Stanley Tucci. Can you imagine being in your kitchen, cooking up like a ragu, or you're cooking up a risotto, or you're cooking pizza or lasagna, and you just have Stanley Tucci standing over your shoulder going, you need to put a little bit more red wine into that. You're using the wrong pasta shape. Do you remember when I showed you how to use it this way? Maybe you should try it this way instead. Or Stanley is just standing like leaning against the counter, glass of red wine in his hand, and telling you stories about his life while you are cooking. Now that I describe it, I genuinely want it to happen. So if that was the one possibility that I could get to bend the rules, I'm bending the rules. Next is dressing up for a costume. And what book character would you love to be for a day? And I genuinely say her so many times, but that is because I would really love to be Angela Clark from the I Heart series by Lindsay Kelk. I feel like Aisling, Angela and I are also quite similar as people. We have also both left our hometowns and moved away. I didn't necessarily move away because I caught my boyfriend in the backseat of a car with somebody else. I just wanted a bit of an adventure. But we have both put down roots in different countries to where we grew up. We've both discovered new cultures, new ways of living. And Angela has such a great tight-knit group of friends in New York. It's something that I love reading about, tight-knit groups of friends. So I feel like I'd love to live Angela's life just for one day. I'd love to just say that I've lived in New York even just for one day. Finally is Blood and Gore. What is a book that creeped you out so much that you had to take a break from it? Now, I don't read a whole lot of horror, I don't read a whole lot of gory books, but there is one book that really unsettled me, and that's Room by Emma Donoghue. I finished this book on a train into London as I was doing an internship in a magazine there, and I just remember feeling so exposed to the world. I remember walking along the platform and thinking, I am so open right now. I am so open to any kind of attack or being kidnapped or anything happening to me. It just unsettled me so much. I thought about it for such a long time afterwards. And I also made the mistake of when I went back to Cardiff, where I was living at the time, I put the film on like the day after I arrived home, put the film on in a pitch black room in a completely empty house. Biggest mistake I think I've ever made in my life, because I didn't sleep properly for 3 nights afterwards. But it's one of the best films I've ever watched, and it's one of the best books I've ever read. Those are my answers to the Halloween book tag. Have you got any fun plans for Halloween this year? Or if you're going to a party, what are you dressing up as? If you would love to leave me a comment but you can't think of anything you'd like to say, then just leave me a spooky emoji of your choice. Don't forget to like and subscribe because I have new videos up every week. Now, get on out of here.